The cult classic 80s fantasy adventure film Highlander is getting the reboot treatment with Henry Cavill to star. This remake has been in the works for a while, but there has been few updates in regards to its progress due to the recent writers and actors strike. However, there is now confirmation that the Highlander reboot will begin filming this January. For those unaware, the original Highlander film premiered in 1986, directed by Russell Mulcahy and starring Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, Roxanne Hart, and Clancy Brown. The film follows both past and present storylines, as it follows the journey of Connor MacLeod, played by Lambert, a Scottish Highlander born in the 16th century, whose life takes a dramatic turn after he makes a miraculous recovery from a fatal wound and learns of his true nature as an immortal being. The destiny for all such immortals is to battle each other for the ultimate prize. Humanity itself hangs in the balance of this epic clash between good and evil, for in the end, there can be only one. While many today rightfully scoff at the idea of yet another remake of a beloved cult classic, the involvement of Henry Cavill has given many fans reason for hope. He has always strived to be an advocate for faithfulness to the source material, as he himself is a fan and realizes the importance that fans place on these franchises that are beloved by so many. Chad Stahelski is signed on for director, which is another addition that has fans excited. Stahelski himself has achieved massive acclaim for his work on the John Wick franchise, with his stunt work and action sequences being particularly beloved by general audiences. The filming date is still a ways out, but the production is certainly going to be busy when it comes to setting up the stunt work and action sequences for the film. Stahelski, in his recent interview with Collider, talked about the challenges that this production will face in regards to choreographing the stunts, especially with the sword fighting, and the challenge of training the actors to be able to do these high-intensity, complex action sequences. The article from Collider pointed out that the film promises to showcase Stahelski's signature action style, particularly in sword fighting, which would be a challenging yet thrilling prospect for the director. Stahelski said, quote, "It's another opportunity to do a property that I love. I love what it's about. I love working with immortality and love stories through time. I think it's a good way to take a great period piece and sci-fi and mix them together." The director also wanted to make clear his intention to balance sword fighting with action scenes. He emphasized the complexity of training actors to handle swords convincingly, and that in order to achieve these realistic, engaging action sequences requires a significant amount of preparation and dedication. Since his action work has been mainly based around gunfights, the interviewer asked what challenges this new Highlander reboot would present, to which the director said, quote, "I'll keep it to the core. Most audiences, I'll use the gun analogy, most of what you know about gunfights or car chases, because most of us don't get involved in gunfights or car chases or sword fights, we learn through movies. And what those movies show you is about 95% BS. You don't fight 50 guys with your bare hands and then walk away, but it's fun. It's wish fulfillment. So John Wick, we know it's a cartoon. I know it's not, but we also have fun with it. But we do tactical reloads, we try to do fire manipulations, stuff like the professionals do, the military do. But then we have fun with it, you know? Sword work is very much the same." I really appreciate Stahelski's approach to striving to balance authenticity with entertainment. And while it's essential to keep the action thrilling, maintaining some level of realism can enhance the audience's connection to the film. In order to accomplish this, Stahelski again has a world-class stunt team. However, training the actors themselves in the fighting and choreography presents an immense challenge. The filmmaker said that Keanu Reeves took a decade to learn how to do what he does so efficiently. So with the Highlander film, Stahelski has the additional challenge of making sure he can trust his actors not to take each other's eyes out during any sword fighting scenes. The director said, quote, "There's some very interesting sword styles out there, but most of the time, we don't have a lot of time, or we don't have access to some people or the cast members. Sometimes you only have 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weeks to train the cast member. Actors are no different than you. If you have become an NBA basketball player, could you do it in 3 weeks? Could you do it in 3 months? Could you do it in 3 years? Yet the burden is on us to make it look like they're the best in the world that has ever lived. I don't think you understand what kind of time that takes. We can use a few movie tricks, stunt doubles, editorial, but at the end of the day, you still have to believe it. But when you see Keanu Reeves doing gun work, that's Keanu Reeves. When you see Keanu drive, that is Keanu driving the car. And that has taken the better part of 10 years to get to that point. This insight certainly sheds light on the physical and mental demands placed on the actors to deliver believable performances. As is evident in the success of action-heavy franchises like John Wick, this behind-the-scenes work and attention to detail is well worth the effort. Stahelski also noted the tricky nature of sword fighting scenes. In comparing it to gunplay, the director said, "Swords to me are one of the trickiest things to do in fight scenes, because if I mess up too much with the firearm, the muzzle flashes are digital, so we don't have to worry about hurting anyone. When we do car stuff, that's also a big concern, but there's ways now, cables that take some of the hazards out for the cast. Swords, it's a little trickier because now I got to trust that my actors are swinging this piece of metal at each other and hopefully not going to take their eyes out or stab somebody. Every sword movie, somebody gets poked or hit on the head or something like that. It takes a little bit more skill and a little bit more dedication, so that's always a concern." In his interview with Collider, he also noted that while the stunt work is a huge concern for him, he's also just as concerned with keeping the audience entertained, saying, quote, "Sometimes a 3-minute sword fight can be a little boring, so I'm more worried about, am I going to bore you with a movie about sword fighting? And how do I sprinkle in firearms and martial arts and car chases? And what's the story part of things? I have to get all that as well." I definitely appreciate his concern with how to balance all of these elements together in order to captivate audiences. It definitely demonstrates his commitment to his craft to deliver not just a technically impressive action movie, but also one that features a compelling and cohesive narrative. Stahelski's concern is to bring all of these elements together seamlessly, saying, quote, "Most of our concerns now are not really about training cast. We've got that machine up and running, and I think we have the right cast, we have the right people, we have the right trainers. We've dug up some of the best sword people I've ever met in my life in the last 6 months that are helping us. It's more about how do you bring it all together and make it something. It's not Princess Bride, it's not Crouching Tiger, it's not Master and Commander, it's not Zorro. What's this new look of action or sword fighting that people could be excited about? That keeps me up at night." I really appreciate Stahelski's focus on creating a new and exciting style of sword fighting. This highlights his dedication to innovation in the action genre. By aiming to differentiate his work from other iconic action films, he is attempting to raise the bar for what audiences can expect from sword fights in cinema. So at the moment, my hopes for this reboot are primarily centered around Chad Stahelski and Henry Cavill's involvement. When it comes to Cavill, he certainly has a lot of experience in this setting, and being a fan himself, he definitely would be an advocate for maintaining faithfulness to the spirit of this movie. And he already has an upper hand when it comes to the swordplay due to his most recent experience working on The Witcher. I do look forward to hearing more details, however, when it comes to the other cast members and how exactly they intend to handle this remake, if it is indeed a one-for-one remake or if they're going to take more creative liberties in regards to the story. And while I have no real concerns when it comes to the action scenes and the stunt choreography, I do hope that they're going to maintain that certain charm that was characteristic of these 80s fantasy films, which captured that unique blend of campiness and adventure. Another element that I'm sure fans would be excited to hear about is the score and music. The Queen soundtrack from the original Highlander film holds a special place in the hearts of fans, and I hope that can be acknowledged as well in this remake. And at the end of the day, I hope that they incorporate all of those elements that made the original so special to a degree that it at least maintains that same enchanting spirit that made that story a cult classic. And I hope they can strike that balance of honoring the legacy of the original while also updating it to a degree in regards to its action and production quality that will hopefully resonate with new and old fans alike. But I'm curious to know what you think about the new Highlander reboot. Are you excited for what Henry Cavill and Chad Stahelski will bring to this remake? Or in the end, can there be only one? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. And if you're looking for other ways to show your appreciation, you can check out my Patreon page, where members get access to exclusive content and perks. Thank you all so much for your support. And as always, have a very nerdy day.